everyone, this is Lisa Phillips. Today I'd like to invite you to a free 5-course training bundle. This 5-course training bundle is valued at over $197, but today it's yours for free. You can get your free training bundle at www.affordablerealestateinvestments.com. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of affordablerealestateinvestment.com podcast and video log. You can see me at YouTube, also in the iTunes under podcast for real estate investors, and here on my local blog, affordablerealestateinvestments.com. So this topic for episode 5 is getting over foreclosure. This is a very sensitive subject for a lot. It's not as sensitive for me because I just accepted very early on that this was the only way that it could happen at this stage, how much I made, how much I had on me. And because of that, that acceptance, I was able to just do what I needed to do to get over it and face it head on. And, it's been 2.5 years since the official foreclosure date, although it was back in 2009 that I stopped paying on the mortgage. Things are looking really good, really positive as far as credit's concerned. So I just wanted to allay your concerns. First of all, the reason I attempted the $30,000 strategy is because I didn't have a lot of access to credit because of the foreclosure. When I purchased the property in Ohio before I lost my job, I saw that, a cheap property, fix it up yourself, you can live off of it, you don't have to stress as much as other people do in the same circumstances. When I lost my job that I had in Dayton, not only did I had renters in the house in Vegas that was foreclosed on, what they paid did not pay the mortgage. I almost paid up to $1,000 each month, covering what it didn't cover. That's how overpriced it was. So I was in Dayton, had my own living expenses because I lived in Ohio now, but I was also carrying the mortgage. A lot of people have done this. I am not special. So when I bought the condo, which was cheaper than my Dayton living expenses at the time, since when you own, it's always cheaper as far as like the monthly rent will be. I knew at that moment that I could not afford both to live here full time and this be my area, as well as take care of the house. The house at the time too had fallen 55-60% in value. It was terrible. I bought at the top of that market in 2006. So immediately after I lost my job, I had 5 days before the next September 1st mortgage payment. I called the bank up, asked them, hey, I just lost my job. I can't afford to have my living expenses and try to keep this house in Vegas when I don't live there. They said that they work. They said we'd look for a loan modification. This is in the beginning of loan modifications. They're just pay this amount each month, and then if you prove that, then we'll go ahead and do the loan modification. Now, if you read the internet or the news at that time, like in 2009, you knew that there were a lot of stories of people who would pay each month and show good faith effort trying to save their house, and the banks would still foreclose. They'd take the money for a year and then foreclose anyways. So I really didn't trust the banks. I'm saying, hey, I can do this, working what I could, but I couldn't do the whole amount because I have to take care of myself here. This is where I live now. I notified the tenants. They were notified sort of indirectly anyway, since there was a notice placed on the door, and that happens in all foreclosures. You'll get a notice, but I notified the tenants and let them know I had no clue when the eviction would happen, but it's officially in foreclosure. It's up to every landlord or real property owner how they handle it. If they choose to immediately, say you have to move out and stop collecting rent, that's their decision. If they choose to collect the rent and not tell the tenants, I think that's a little shady. You should at least tell them if they negotiate something, but I was very upfront and with the tenant about the situation that it could happen at any time. So, you need to start preparing for that eventuality. So that sort of worked out. The notification really helped. The foreclosure process from start to they actually foreclosed and sold it back to the bank took 17 months. So it's sort of an interesting thing to keep in mind. So the biggest thing I learned was that first year after, during their foreclosures, and it was a new 30-day, 90-day late on the payment. There's a lot of no's, but, once or twice you'd go to the mall and go to, some random store, and they'd approve you for credit for, $200 or $400, but no, don't knock it. That Target will give a card to anybody, a Target charge card, or any of them. You need that. You need someone to say yes so you can pay on time and prove that you're worthy of the income. So I would say for the first year during the late and the first year after the actual closing of the account and they sold it to somebody, it's going to be hard, but the little store cards, you can get somewhere and gaining traction. However, I was still on time on all my payments, so that just enough so I can cover the minimums on my payment until I found a new job, which I did a few months later. And so just be on time, be on time, be on time. So if you looked at my credit report, you'd see there was 2 mortgages on the house. You see this is bad, this is bad. Everything else was green and good.
This video is sponsored by Sub 30K Group Coaching Program. Weekly coaching calls to ensure you create the rental investment portfolio of your dreams, locally or out of state. Click the link below to find out more and receive your free training bundle.
That's just the reality. Because the problem was with that house that I wasn't living in and that I had to leave the state to find my job over here, and I couldn't keep that up. You know, that was the issue. That was it, though. It was contained. All my other credit, I wasn't just going to say forget it and not pay the other ones. I mean, you need credit eventually. So just keep paying on time. Can't pay everything else. I talked to 4 or 5 lawyers. I tried to get different ones, had prepaid legal services, so every single one of them suggested bankruptcy. So not necessary. So slightly ignorant. Like, you really don't need to go that route. So shame on them for saying that's the only solution. The other solution is trying to negotiate a short sale, which I was doing. It didn't go through, but definitely we're going through the process step by step to that final day when the bank didn't have their ducks in a row and was like, oh, we could have done this if I would have known about it, but that's their incompetence. After that first year, don't necessarily go bankruptcy. I don't know why they think that's the only solution. It's not. You don't have to default on everything. Just keep it contained to that one line item. When enough time passes, it goes away. So the first year, a lot of no's. I didn't ask much. Second year, all of a sudden, that 12-year drop-off from the final date of foreclosure, all of a sudden it's 12 months. And some places are 12 to 24 months that they look at. But a lot of places are just 12 months. Smaller stores. Not necessarily the banks. I don't like the banks that much anyways. That's another blog topic. Stay away from them. They're so not even worth it. Get a business checking account with them, but that's it. It's the only money they're going to get from me. And so after the 12-month, things are going to start coming back. From what I heard, even if directly after foreclosure, if you go to a loan broker, they will be able to hook you up with somebody who could give you a loan. It's just at a really high price, which is sort of okay. If it's a $30,000 house, you can pay 18% interest, can't you? And live in it. Keep that in mind. If it's $200,000, 18% is just too obscene. You can't afford the payments. All I would say is I did notice that even after foreclosure, which was in January, 6 months later I tried to get a loan, and the loan officer at the credit union said that they showed my 2 accounts are still open. I'm like, no, it closed. It foreclosed. The actual official foreclosure. It is back in the bank. So make sure you follow up within 6 months to a year afterwards, or even sooner than that, to make sure it's showing foreclosed on the date that the property was sold back to the bank. It's going to be up to you. I had to do it. Sit there, call them. I can put in the notes a website that I use. It's great, free information, and it's on point and accurate. And it's like a credit repair website. I'll give that to you. I followed it very closely and used their debt validation to make sure that they were posting what they needed to post accurately. So basically, at the end of the day, just keep paying on all your other items. Know that the first year is going to be hard, but can you wait a year? You know, you'll need a little bit of patience. I mean, it is a foreclosure, and that is a big deal. But don't default on everything else. If you need credit counseling, there's tons available. I didn't need that because I just had the problem with the house and I had no job. I was in a different state. I don't need credit counseling. I kept everything else up to date. I wasn't going to default on that. Take it if you need it. It is free. If you don't ask for help, you will, you might do the same thing again if you don't learn from your mistake. So a little bit of time, a little bit of asking. Make sure you start with the smaller stores first. They'll get you something, and that'll help establish like the new lines of credit rolling in. And it's sort of like a snowball effect with credit. You do something here, then other people see it, and then they're more willing to follow. Maybe not as big of a credit line, but smaller. So definitely keep that in mind as you wait that year out, and start small, then go to credit unions, I would not go to banks for anything. If you do, that's fine. I've had terrible experiences with them, and at the exact same time, I had wonderful experiences with credit unions and store lines of credit. Like I always mention Home Depot and Lowe's. So that's it for this post. Foreclosure is a very sensitive thing. I would say out of all the blog posts that might go up after this about recovering from it, please leave comments and we can discuss it and I can talk about it. You know, sometimes circumstances are out of your control, and, you know, there are people who are like, well, you decided to take that mortgage and you need to stick to it. Well, if you don't have a job, you can't stick to anything. And then it's like, you just need to face that and keep going forward. Don't let it be some stigma on you forever. Don't let it haunt you forever. Start dealing with the issue. Face it. I'm in foreclosure. What do I do now? Do I still pay the money? Do I try to keep it? Or is it like, that house is so above it and I'll owe so much by the time I get a new job, it's not worth it. Make those decisions quick. Don't be scared to make those decisions. You have to live with your mistakes. So if you're holding on to a house for 6 months, spending money there, and you don't get the house anyway, and you could have seen that from the beginning, don't let your pride get in the way. Sometimes I think that's the problem with a lot of people. Your pride isn't, that's not a virtue. It's something that brings about your downfall. So keep that in mind if your pride is keeping you from really admitting something. It has not done well for anyone throughout the centuries. Get over it, accept it, start recovering. And, you know, I guess I'm a little bit more optimistic because I can just face my mind for some reason always goes to worst case scenario. Because of that, I can face it better because I prepare for the worst case scenario. Like this real estate's a preparation for unemployment or preparation for when money's not coming in for whatever reason. Maybe I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe, you know, I just don't want to work anymore in corporate America, which is what this is all about. So it's easier for me to face it, and I know other people it's not. So what I'm saying to you is to learn from me if you need to. Face it and deal with it. Call it a day. Things will turn out better that way versus just kicking the can and keeping your hand in the sand. So don't feed the trolls. Comment and engage, especially on this topic. If you've had trouble with the foreclosure and maybe wondering if there's things you can do. And thank you for tuning into this broadcast.
This video is sponsored by the Investing Out of State Training Pack. Because your dream of building a long-distance portfolio should be easy, fun, and financially satisfying. Click the link below to find out more and receive your free training bundle.